Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is paper 1 section 2 that we are going to practice today, and as you know that you need to write 350 to 500 words, and the total marks for this are 30, and you also know that the total weightage is 25. In this you are given five topics: one for description, two for argumentative, and two narrative essays. You already know this, and out of these two narratives, you know that you need to write to 350 to 500 words on this. And lately we have been practicing narrative, and I have told you what are the requirements for getting a top grade, what are the requirements of getting an A star, and we have been practicing on that lately too. We have been practicing on the use of the flashbacks. We have been trying to make our stories better. We are trying to bring more suspense into it, and we are also trying to use cliffhangers. And at the same time, the basics remain very vital. That is the correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation. So make sure that by now you do not make any spelling, punctuation, or grammatical errors. Yes, the occasional slips are not penalized, we know that, but you can't rely on that. I mean, you have to be 100% sure that you do not make any mistake. So here are the two narratives that are given to us, and I know that you have not done this before. First is number 5: write a story which includes the words, "When they did not agree with her solution, she felt angry." And number 6 is write a story in which two people unexpectedly agreed to help each other. So these are the two topics. You have to do either of these at this moment. And what mistakes sometimes the students do, they do not write the correct number of the essay that they have chosen. If you have chosen 5, you will write number 5 before starting your answer. If you have chosen 6 or whatever the number is, write the correct number over there. And sometimes the students even forget to mention the topic that they have chosen. So it is safe that you do not only write the topic number, but you also write the topic of the story or the essay that you have chosen. And apart from this, before writing this, just a few reminders that use past tense in narrative, because narrative is something that has happened in the past. Stories are something that have happened in the past. So whenever you are using a tense, make sure that you use the past tense. And secondly, uh, describe events in order. Don't hover between the events. Describe the events in order. Yes, if you are using a flashback, definitely in that case the flashbacks are not the order, but otherwise your story should be in the correct order. Then, as we know that in narrative, narrative essays have a particular style, and we know that they have dialogues in it, they have the characterization in it, it has a plot as well. So make sure that you use all these narrative tools. You use dialogues, but the dialogues should be used sparingly. Do not include too many dialogues. It should not look like a dialogue writing, it should look like a narrative. And uh, there is obviously a difference between a dialogue writing and narrative writing. And also remember, I've told you earlier too, that every narrative has some part of description as well, because you are describing the scene, you are describing the characters. So all the narrative essay is not narrative. Similarly, all the descriptive essay is not descriptive, it has some part of narrative as well. And similarly, the narrative has some part of the description. So make sure that you use descriptive language when you are writing a narrative. This is another very important point, because descriptive language creates an image in the mind of the reader. And for descriptive language, use clear verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, and also use sensory details. Sensory details are those that touch our senses. We know that we have five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and hear. So you will use sensory details to describe that scene, to describe that situation, and to narrate your story. Then before getting started, always remember that there is always a planning before writing a narrative. So plan it. First, how you plan it, think about the essay topic that you have chosen, think about it, what you are going to write. And secondly, think about the character, setting, and events. 350 to 500 words are not too much. So I always suggest students not to use many characters. One character will be the main character. You will write the narrative either from some third person's point of view, he, she, or whatever that person is, any character, the name of any character, or you can write the story from your personal point of view as well. So there should not be many characters in the narrative, because it will not be the 350 to 500 words will not be enough to wrap up in the end. So do not bring too many characters into the setting. So think about the characters, setting, and event, where that event or whatever the setting, the place, and everything. And then it is better if you just think about the outline of the plot, that how you are going to proceed with the or progress with the essay. Remember that a narrative essay has three parts. One is the beginning, then the middle, and then the end. So make sure that you know in your mind, you have planned in your mind what will be the beginning, how we will be starting. Some people directly start from the flashback, some people start from the dialogues. So these are the good ways to start an essay. Then there is a middle, and then there is an end. Then write your essay, and after you write your essay, make sure that we usually think that we are grammatically correct. We have not made any spelling or punctuation errors, but we usually do. So make sure that you check your essay at the end when you have written it. So these are the two topics that I have given you, and out of these two topics you will choose either, and you will write. And as I told you, a narrative essay has three parts. Beginning, the beginning, actually, what do you usually write in beginning? You describe and introduce people, place, and time. Obviously, there are different ways you are beginning the narrative. These days, you are starting with the flashback. Obviously, if you are starting with the flashback, then you will not describe or introduce the people, place, or time. Then the middle is the lengthiest part of the narrative essay. It has several paragraphs, more actions and activities and events, and main character is expanded in the middle part. And then the end, you resolve the complication. You when using the cliffhangers, you obviously do not completely resolve the complication. Keep something to the perception of the reader as well. Or one way to end a good narrative is to either end it on a cliffhanger, or you can also end it on a twist and leave the reader question a mystery or something. So there are different ways you can end a narrative. It is not always necessary that you end it or you solve the whole complication. I do not recommend that you solve the whole complication, because again, this is a short story, 350 to 500 words. So you cannot completely resolve the complication. You either end the story on a twist, or leave reader with question or mystery, that is the cliffhanger. So first is the beginning part, which is the rising action. Then middle part is the climax, and then falling action, that is bringing the narrative towards the end. So these are something that you must keep in mind before writing the narrative, and the basics are the same that we have learned over the years. That do not make punctuation errors, do not make spelling errors, do not make grammatical errors. Use the past tense consistently. This is something I keep on saying and you keep on forgetting sometimes. Use the past tense consistently. This I mean the basic of writing a narrative. Do not hover between the tenses. Keep on using the past tense, and you all know how to use the past tense. How to use a past tense? Always use second form of the verb. Use did in place of do. Use did in place of does. Use had where you are using have or had. Use could where you want to use can. Use might instead of may. So all this is very basic of basics of basic grammar techniques to use the past tense. So make sure that you follow that, use grammar accurately, spelling, and as you were told that check your work at the end and make sure that you have not made any errors. So you are going to attempt this, then I'm going to check this. When you send it to me, also send me your previous work. That's it for now.